Who is going to be facing Jon Moxley next for the AEW title? And boy howdy, it could be Kevin Smith. It could be Jason Mewes. It could even be Lou Ferrigno. I said it wrong in the news earlier. The Hulk himself, the 70s Hulk, all the bodybuilding Hulk from that TV show your dad used to watch. Because they were all on this episode of AEW. I'm Ollie Davis. I'm joined by Luke Owen. And let's talk about this amazing Bubbly Bunch segment. The third Bubbly Bunch segment we've had so far. Each week, it's somehow gotten better.
I believe this is the final Bubbly Bunch as well. I don't know why. I think they felt like they've sort of put it over as because next week we're going back to live TV. So I don't know whether this is going to be like the end of this segment now, or the fact that it's become so popular, they're just going to do more of them.
Jericho has so many good ideas. It's almost infuriating that he can just drop them whenever he wants. Remember the lexicon of Jericho?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I thought that
1 week.
And the whole catchphrase about him not saying that he's sorry and he was getting Hager to do it instead, that is, for another wrestler, that would be a 6-month-long catchphrase and part of their whole career. For Jericho, he can just chuck it out on one episode and never use it again.
So, how did you say Lou Ferrigno's name in the news?
Lou Ferrigno.
Lou Ferrigno. I think you said
put the G in the wrong place.
Or something.
Lou Ferrigno.
But no, it was a crazy. So, the first week of the Bubbly Bunch was just them having a chat to hype up Hager's match against Moxley. The second week was them then doing the Flim Flam dance, which I honestly thought was a real thing that I just did not understand, but it turns out was them having a bit of fun. And I thought that this week was going to be more of a follow-up to that, because they did ask a lot of people to do their own Flim Flams and send them in. I was like, this will be like the Search for Spears tag partner thing, where they sort of then feature people on TV. But no, instead what we got was them doing this new thing. And the only reason I've seen this is I saw Justin Sizem do it on Twitter yesterday, but just did it with himself, doing he would punch the camera or kick the camera, and then when he sort of reacted to it, he was wearing a different tank top or a different t-shirt or something. It was very, very clever and stuff. But they did it that you would sort of punch the camera, and then it would reveal that you have punched a different person reacting to that. And it started off with just, the Inner Circle doing it. And then Peter Avalon of the Librarians was there. Jungle Boy of Jurassic Express was there. Sonny Kiss was there. And then it just started getting all these. And I only recognize a handful of people. One of them was Chris Jericho's dad.
You missed Dr. Luther in there. Japanese deathmatch legend. The Nightmare Collective.
I do apologize. The man that Jimmy Havoc is feuding with, I believe. Dark. Peter Irving, Chris Jericho's dad.
Ted Irving.
Ted Irving, sorry. Why have I written Peter Irving? Ted Irving, you're absolutely right. Lou Ferrigno, now you got me doing it. The Incredible Hulk, the man who actually voiced the Incredible Hulk up until the Avengers. I believe he was still the voice of the Incredible Hulk in the movies.
He used a taser.
Yes, he did, yeah. And then Jay and Silent Bob, and it ended with Vicky Guerrero. Virgil was also in there as well. And then a bunch of other people that I don't think I particularly recognized. And then it ended with Jericho saying, was that Lou Ferrigno with a taser? It was really, really funny.
There was also Gabriel Iglesias, who is a comedian in the States, not very big over here in the UK at all, but I recognize his face. Ryan Naymiller? I don't know that. Oh, no, wait, isn't one of them a member of the band Slipknot?
I wouldn't have recognized them without the mask.
I think Ryan Naymiller is a member of the metal band Slipknot, and Brad Williams, who is the not Wee Man, it says here in Reddit's notes. But there's also Soul Train Jones, Virgil.
So he's what? So not Wee Man from Jackass?
I don't know. But Vicky Guerrero was very funny at the end. She was just like, "What?"
Oh, it's Corey. Oh, sorry, I've seen it. It was Corey Taylor.
Corey Taylor. Oh, I bet the chat's just erupted in correctionomania. But yeah, it was so funny. And this is the exact sort of stuff AEW Dynamite should be making and also putting on social media. This is
Yeah.
this is an inspired idea, perfect for the lockdown. Sort of keeps that plate spinning for people who haven't been on the show recently, like Jungle Boy. It was actually really nice to see him. Out of everyone on here, I think I might have, well, of course, I popped hardest for Jay and Silent Bob. That was so awesome. But Jungle Boy was my second for that.
Yeah, no, I really, really enjoyed it, particularly like because it was fun when the inner circle thing. I think they just sort of leveled it up every single time. Of first it was the inner circle, then it was members of the AEW roster, then Luther, and then your celebrity cameos. And I think ending it with Vicky Guerrero was really funny as well. I thought she was going to do an excuse, like a proper full-on excuse me. But I thought it was a really, really funny segment. And you're absolutely right. Like for social media, because if you can get all of those people who are in it to share, like, Kevin Smith sharing that out, he's got a huge Twitter following. Like him and Muse sharing that out is pretty massive. And there will be people there who might not be wrestling fans, but they know who Jay and Silent Bob are, who will watch that. And in turn, you might, create news. It's the same, because this is the second time that Jay and Silent Bob have been on AEW. They were on the very first episode, weirdly enough.
I really hope they like the show. I like it when me and Kevin Smith share interests. It makes me feel closer to him. We're friends. So, seeing them here was supremely cool. And we didn't even mention how this segment started. Chris Jericho FaceTiming the Inner Circle boys, the Bubbly Bunch, on his exercise bike in his sort of private gym, I guess, in full entrance attire. He's got the long leather jeans, the leather jacket, the hat, the scarf. It was so funny.
Well, he did this when he had the segment in his pool with Vanguard when he was offering them the Inner Circle t-shirt, and he had his leather trousers on when he was in his jacuzzi, and he brought that up on commentary, saying like, "Do you see how cool I looked when I had my leather jacket and my leather trousers on in my jacuzzi?"
Oh yeah, obligatory. Chris Jericho is the best commentator alive right now. Comment proved it week in, week out. I said it before everyone else was. I do want to point that out. I said he in honestly 20 years time he's going to be Jerry. He's got to become a commentator. He's too good. But yeah, so we had all that. The other big talking point running through this show, apart from the TNT title stuff, which we will talk about in the play-by-play, is who is going to be facing Jon Moxley next.
Yeah, so on this show, we sort of found out that Cody is ranked number 1 because he's been on TV a lot, he's been picking up a lot of wins, but he cannot go for the title at the moment because, forever, because A, he's busy with the TNT tournament, but also B, more importantly, lost that stipulation to Chris Jericho where he's not allowed to challenge for that title anymore. So it feels that through this whole isolation period, there's been so much focus on the TNT tournament. There's been very little focus on the AEW championship. And that'd be because, we didn't have Moxley there. But now we're in a situation where we're like, well, who is going to face Moxley for the title then at Double or Nothing, which is in a month's time? But there are a list of names that could be potential people for him because they've been doing a lot of building up of these guys, particularly people like Wardlow, with his sort of big monster push that he's been getting. But I'm mostly interested, and I brought this up last week, is Mr. Brody Lee. And I would really like to see Brody Lee going after that title, particularly if the Dark Order are coming back for TV tapings in the coming weeks. I don't know what AEW's plans are. I know they're going live next week, but then if they're all then just going to tape a bunch of stuff in the can up until Double or Nothing, or whether they're going to be doing it weekly TV again, I don't know. Do you know what the plan is?
I think the aim is to do 1 week on, 1 week off as of next week.
Okay, fair enough. So yeah, but I think Brody Lee is quite an interesting person to put into that position and to really establish him in that main event picture.
It's because Moxley had a cracking promo on this week's one. Nothing flashy, nothing big, but it's just him walking around. Is it Ohio where he lives? I think so. In that sort of deserty, like American Midwest terrain.
I don't know if you saw Quizlemania last night, but it turns out my American geography is very, very bad.
It's near Washington.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Where Daniel Bryan's from.
So Moxley's like just walking around and he just, promotes that he's here next week. And then he looks into the camera and he says, I think it's along the lines, it's his new version of Hulkamania's Take Your Vitamins, brother, where he says, shop in local stores, do this, and don't forget to call your grandmother. I was just like, how did he make that sound so badass?
It was absolutely amazing. His line in that promo when he said, it was only 8 weeks ago that I was celebrating my AEW championship win with fans, because it feels like a lifetime ago. And I'm like, yeah, no kidding. That feels way longer than 8 weeks ago. I said this to my wife this morning, because we're talking about how next week marks the end of what is supposed to be the UK's lockdown. It's supposed to be the end of the 3 weeks, but they're going to, see where we are. And I was like, honestly, if you asked me right now how many weeks we have been in lockdown for, or how many weeks I've been working from home, I could not tell you. Absolutely no idea.
Yeah, it is nuts. But Moxley I'd be curious to know what the original plans, not just for AEW, but WWE as well, what the original plans were for Moxley, because I thought the money was in a big time rematch with Jericho. That seemed to be the way they were going with, now you've got to face Hager, which he did. And I thought, now you've got to face Sammy. And then you work your way up. All Jericho's goons are softening Moxley up. And then Jericho has a rematch got through heel shenanigan means. And then Jericho is off for the summer. If everyone remembers, that he's going on tour. Well, was going on tour with Fozzy. Yeah, I guess that's not happening. I didn't really think about that. So those plans could have changed as well. But it seems like they positioned Jericho to feud with Hardy, which was presumably another thing long in the works. And everyone seems to have a little feud building to a big match, right? Even with all the quarantine stuff that's going on. But Moxley doesn't. And he's the AEW champion. Have you read the report from PW Insider that Tony Khan pretty much wrote the entire lockdown era of TV in 5 minutes?
Whoa,
by himself? He was like, right, here's the TNT title tournament. I'm just going to base it all on that. And he just went, and that was it. And then people added to it afterwards. But the basic structure, Kate was Khan in a matter of minutes, really. And I guess with that level of focus on the TNT title stuff, if he knows all Mox is not going to be around, he's gone and lost in the shuffle.
And it does really feel like he's lost in the shuffle. You're right on that one. The Jericho thing is interesting, though, because I kind of not forgot that he was in that feud with Hardy. But Jericho did say a lot throughout this show, that's the man that stole my title. That's the man who stole the championship from Le Champion, which would suggest to me that there is potential there. I've also seen a lot of people, I just had a quick eyeful of the chat to my left here, of a lot of people saying MJF. MJF could potentially come back next week and be that, he made his miraculous recovery from his nail injury, although he has got a bit of a sore neck now. But he certainly could step up to the plate and go for the gold as well. So it's potentially MJF, as you're right, Jericho, and he's too busy with the Hardy feud. And I could see them doing the Hardy feud. I could see them doing the Hardy compound match at Double or Nothing. If it's going out in front of no fans, you may as well do more stuff like that. Mr. Brody Lee is another potential, and my outside pick, just because, man, I love him, it's Darby Allin. And Darby's now out of the tournament, as we know from this show. And I've got to be honest with you, and I know you love Cody like a brother, I wanted Darby to win. I was absolutely gutted that Darby didn't win. So I'd like to put Darby's name out in there. And you remember when he and Mox had that sort of mini 1 week feud and stuff, and it was like, oh wow, that could be really cool. Yeah, Darby sort of gunning for the title now from Moxley. I would absolutely love. It depends on where the rankings sit, I guess.
Yeah, and he just lost. He's lost a fair bit, I think. How do you make that case? I really don't know. It's weird how all the top champions have been completely derailed by quarantine. Totally understandable, of course. We're not like saying, oh, this is AEW really dropped the ball here. But yeah, it's, their women's, their tags, and their men's championships. All their championships have gone. So I guess in a way, for the TNT title, it's only going to make it feel more significant and important because it's literally been the only thing people have been fighting over really the last 6 weeks. Should we have a look what everyone else is saying, who they would like to see?
Please do.
Getting your super chats throughout the show, of course. We'll be getting to them throughout. The bad one, Ryan B. Bad, says it should be Mox versus MJF at Double or Nothing.
Yeah, there you go. Mox versus MJF. I think that's a really good shout, actually. He's hot off. I say he's hot. He's coming off the back of that big win over Cody at Revolution. Yeah, Revolution. So, you could sort of make the claim from that. And I quite like the idea of him coming back and not only saying, I've got that big win over Cody. I'm the Dynamite ring winner. I'm also a modern medical miracle having overcome my broken nail.
I think it's too early for MJF. I think he needs a lot more wins in the ring and just in ring time in front of TV viewers before he should be going main event in a pay-per-view. So Gazatola of Rock and Roller has said Bluntman and Chronic to win the AEW tag team titles. Hashtag Snoochie Boochies.
Snoochie Boochies. I did get. I mean, I always get a kick out of Jay and Silent Bob. It really takes me back to my teenage years. But yeah, dude, like I've got to put out in tweets like I'm going to go live the AEW review with my hetero life mate Oliver Davis.
Oh, we should have said that. I mean, me and you just 4 or 5 months ago went to see Kevin Smith live. We were in the front row to watch Jay and Silent Bob reboot.
Yeah, I got to have a little chat with him again then. What did we work it out to be? 15 years since I last saw him, or not last saw him, but I first saw him at the Prince Charles Cinema to ask him a question about my university degree. So yeah, a lot of fun. Great, such a lovely guy.
Colostopia's gone in touch, not with a Mox opponent, but with a Jericho opponent. Jericho versus Pineapple Pete in a steel cage.
There it is. Pineapple Pete. Pineapple Pete. Hate that guy.
We haven't really spoken about Pineapple Pete, but he's literally just some wrestler, I guess, on AEW's radar.
Sugar Dunkerton, man.
Is that Sugar Dunkerton? Sorry. I'm no good with this stuff. I'm no good at wrestling. But yet Jericho has made this Pineapple Pete feud purely because of the guy's pineapple Hawaiian shirt. And it's one of the hottest things in wrestling. Jericho can have a feud with anyone. I know you said, it's like they're kind of teasing the Mox rematch because Jericho kept bringing that up. But Jericho's character is of such where he will just keep ragging on anyone who isn't a heel. Because by that magic, like by that logic, he's also building a feud with Kenny Omega. Because he's constantly calling him Pumpkinhead. He's all like, we fought in Japan. I can't remember who won.
There is a name that we haven't brought up yet, and a lot of people have said it in the chats that you have missed off. It should have been Pentagon.
It should have been Pentagon, but it actually should be Pac.
Yeah, I suppose it should be Pac as well. Pac, because Pac has got that claim. He thought he was going to be in the match with Jericho at Revolution. So he is someone who's going to be wanting to. Granted, it's the case that AEW almost. And this is almost a victim of your own sort of like, I don't want to use the word genius, but you're a victim of your own system where your rankings now have essentially got Kenny Omega as your top guy, but Kenny's going to be doing the tag feud with Hangman Page, and I'm presuming best friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I keep getting the super chats in because we're at a bit of a loss. But should we get in with the rest of the show, the play-by-play? It opened with Cody versus Darby Allin in a terrific opening bout, semi-final clash for the TNT title.
Absolutely loved it, and this was the sort of moment. I mean, I've kind of known that I've got a love for Darby Allin because I just think he's awesome and I think he's great. And then this opening promo package before it really solidified that, where they talked about how they had that great match at Fyter Fest where they drew, and that really that established Darby. That really put him on the sort of AEW map. Then they had a match against on TV, and he said, "I didn't lose that match to Cody. I lost that match to Arn Anderson." And then he said, "But what's the most interesting part of a story? Is it the beginning, the middle, or the end?" His promo was so great, and I love his character so much that when he came up for that match, I can't tell you how much I wanted him to win. Really wanted him to win. And I love Cody. I absolutely love Cody. But I really wanted my boy to win. And I think that's a credit to how well AEW have got him over and got his character over, that he has elicited that sort of reaction out of me to be like, I really want him to go and win this tournament and go on to face Lance Archer in the finals. And there were so many moments in this match where I thought he was going to win. I thought these two absolutely worked it brilliantly.
Yeah, I'm in the same camp, but just for Cody. I'm not going to take away your Darby love, because I'm there too now since Revolution and that excellent match with Sammy Guevara and all the work he's done since and before, arguably. But all of those things you just said, I could say the exact same thing for Rhodes. Yeah. But these two guys, it was really interesting the way they worked it, because and like WWE, I'm sorry to compare it, but WWE always has said for a decade plus, we work with shades of grey. There are no such things as heels or faces. And over the last few weeks, AEW has actually done that effectively, because Darby has been showing more heel-like tendencies. He's a proper anti-hero character, first in that slap on Cody, and then working as the heel against Sammy Guevara last week.
Like taking off the boot and like biting at the toes and things like that. And then in this match here, where Cody did the Matrix bridge and tweaked his knee, and instantly Darby was on it. Just started going at it.
And it's not illegal. It's not against the rules, but man, is it against the spirit of wrestling. Like that, it's if you're Ring of Honor, that's not an honorable move, is it? It's gamesmanship rather than sportsmanship. And that's the really fine line they worked here. And there was, I thought, okay, I see what they're doing here. They've been doing it for weeks. Darby's going to be a heel now. Like that's the story they've been telling. And Cody's going to be an out and out babyface. That's the story they're telling through to the end. But within 3-4 minutes, Darby was thrown into brandy by Cody, and in such a weird spot. But like, I don't hate it.
Yeah, no, I don't hate it either. In fact, I actually loved it, because it is. I read it more that like Cody moved out of the way and Darby crashed into Brandy Rhodes, but the way that Jericho positioned it was Cody knew she was there. Cody let that happen.
Yeah, but like, even when you think about it, even if that was his intention, like, why? Even if he doesn't like his wife anymore, why would he do that? Like, that she's out there to help him win the match if he's that way inclined, if he's that evil. But it was just such a weird shade of grey spot that it did make me start to think, oh, this, it's. What is the allegiances to morality here? And when Cody's walking around the ring, because AEW have got the wrestlers standing at ringside, Britt Baker hits him with a heel, but it's not Darby who's cheating. You're getting this sort of babyface heat on Cody without doing it through Allen. It's just genius.
I absolutely loved it. The Indian Deathlog bridge spot I thought was absolutely amazing. Darby hitting Crossroads for the win. And I loved then, not only did he hit the Crossroads, went to lock in the figure 4 to get the pin the same way that Cody did in this very tournament. I thought it was a lovely series of references to things. Cody going for the coffin drop was absolutely amazing, and Darby getting the knees up off that move, and then Darby going up for it and getting it, but Cody just sliding him through and getting the pin. Wicked finish. I was just gutted for my boy Darby.
It was a terrific match. I think it'd be interesting to see where Darby goes from here, because he did lose. And Cody's obviously got a direction to the top. So, yeah, I'm sure they've got big plans, because he is definitely one of their hottest stars at the moment. And he really does have a unique connection to a certain large portion of the audience. Oh yeah, in all this, Brandy hobbled back out after taking the bump from earlier to give Cody a sip of water from a bottle.
Mm.
And it was just, sometimes things like that feel sloppy and out of place. But other times, they're genius red herrings. Best example ever of this is the table that has still not been gone through in the Okada Omega 2 match. You know, they set it up and like, well, it's wrestling, Chekhov's table, but they never used it. So little details like this, it makes it feel more real. Really, really top-notch work.
Yeah, I thought it was really, really great. Another promo for Scorpio Sky. This one talking about him joining SCU and, them getting over through the worst town thing. And I liked his end line where he's like, I don't want to just be a champion. I want to be an effing legend. I thought it was a really nice final line to it.
And then we got MJF cutting a promo from his house about his career-threatening hangnail injury, but he saw the doctor. Doctor says it's all good now. In fact, he's got the strongest nail on the earth, and but now he's picked up another injury. He's cut his neck shaving. Just brilliant heel work.
I absolutely loved it. It was like, I'm so sorry that I did not get on a germ-infested plane to fly across the country to wrestle in front of 6 peers.
And he was so sarcastic because the content was actually, if you just read out the content, it would read like an apology, but the way he delivered it was like, yeah, I'm so sorry to you. It was really good. And that went directly into MJF's henchman. A man, is he a henchman?
Oh,
Warlow.
Dude.
We joked about Warlow when he first...
Wardlow.
Well, it's because I feel like it should be war now with his entrance music. This is war. This is war. We joked about him when he first debuted because we were like, oh, it's Brian Cage, the Wardlow salad, stuff like that. But I love his squash matches.
Yeah, his little F5 deal that he does is amazing. But I said it last week.
F5?
Yeah.
Bigger F5.
I said it last week. When he does that drag down spot into his knee, like he just sort of pops them up onto the top rope, gives a little look to the crowd, drags them off and knees them in the face. It looks brutal, and I love it.
Yeah, he did all those things and more to a enhancement talent called Musa. Then we got the Bubbly Bunch segment that we've already covered. And then, I love this episode, by the way. I don't know if you can tell. After all of that great stuff, fantastic match. Great MJF promo, a heartfelt Scorpio Sky video package, the really fun Bubbly Bunch skit. Then we got this no-holds-barred hardcore match between Jimmy Havoc and Kip Sabian versus the Best Friends, Penelope Ford and Orange Cassidy, were at ringside in the respective corners. It was so much fun.
Loved it, mate. And this was like, when you said earlier that this was all Tony Khan's doing, essentially just sort of booked this all, off the top of his head very, very quickly. This has been a very well-told little feud that has built over the last couple of weeks through their limited roster. It's not a top feud, but it has got these guys on TV, and actually it's really gotten these guys over as characters. And the genius of all of this is that not only have you featured Jimmy Havoc more, you featured Kip Sabian more, you've effectively created a new team out of all of this and built this sort of feud with the Best Friends. In that, you have created new top challengers in Best Friends, who at the same time were having a little mini feud with Kenny Omega a couple of weeks ago. So they've already planted that seed. So when everything comes back together, those two teams can finally confront each other again, and we can start a feud towards the tag straps. Absolutely brilliant bit of simple storytelling.
There's Death Triangle in there as well. I said it last week. When you've got limited resources and you're faced with a lot of obstacles, you just go back to basics and tell a very simple, fundamental story. And those things are generally copy and paste, right? And that's what they've done. They've just focused on telling very basic stories with a limited number of people. And, if you're just going to do that for 3 months, it's very, very effective. You said they're not top guys, these people. And I agree. This is mid-card. This is a fantastic mid-card. But have you seen the ratings?
No.
The last 2 weeks, these segments with these 6 people in, highest rated stuff on Dynamite.
Now that is interesting,
Isn't it?
Because one of the things that has been said about AEW and Tony Khan is he's a stats man.
Sorry, women.
Exactly.
You don't draw.
You don't draw. You don't get on TV, which means you can't draw. He loves stats. And if he can see, well, these guys are popping ratings, that's going to get them even more TV. This could mean more Jimmy on TV. And I'm all for more Jimmy on TV.
I still feel like the Jimmy Havoc, the essence of the brilliance of what he can deliver hasn't still come out. No. I haven't watched his MLW stuff, but the stuff I was reading sounds like he was close to that level. But this was the first match in AEW. Well, I guess the 3-way was really fun as well. But there was something about the way he moved here. It was just this kind of like this sadist mentality that I really got from him. And just, I feel like hardcore wrestling has gone on a bad rep in the last, since CZW One Night Stand. What it peaked and everyone was like, oh, it's not for me anymore. CZW kind of jumped the shark, I guess. This is what hardcore wrestling can be in 2020. I had so much fun with it. I've never seen people get dropped on chairs at those angles before.
Yeah, I thought this was if I was to give a slight nitpick to this, and this is the slightest of nitpicks, but it did make me go like it was when they were tagging. It was when Havoc and Sabian were just tagging in and out. And Jericho even said, look at that. Even when there's no DQ, they're still tagging. And I was like, yeah, but why? Why are they tagging? Because it's no DQ, mate. What's the ref going to do if you don't obey the tag rules? And then, after they did 2 tags, they never did any other tags throughout the match. So why did you do those 2?
Yeah, you're right there.
Little details. But moving that aside, I then saw Jimmy Havoc throw people onto lots of chairs, and those chairs were at horrible angles, and it made me go, ooh, it made me go, ah, and it made me feel like I was a teenager in the year 2000 watching hardcore matches, and I loved it.
Yeah, and especially we're so desensitized. So to make me go, oh, that's a really nice sensation that I don't experience a lot these days. It's thrilling. But at the end...
do you remember in NXT when they did it was the Adam Cole, Aleister Black hardcore, I think they had a hardcore match or something, but they did the sort of AA move onto an upturned chair, and Adam Cole just sort of landed on top of the chair.
Yeah, stuff like that. Although these ones I enjoyed more because they seemed a bit safer because there was a bit more of I don't know anything. But the Penelope Ford and Orange Cassidy got involved, a bit of distractions, and Chuck Taylor got Havoc, ran across the ring, and hit a pile driver on a load of chairs. A fitting demise to the evil, chair-hungry goth.
Exactly. And, Jericho was putting over, these guys have got to be top contenders now. And they have planted those seeds, as I said earlier, of the sort of animosity and sort of, hatred between Kenny Omega and the Best Friends, particularly Trent. They had that excellent match that nearly went to the draw. They had the comedy tag match with Kenny and Michael Nakazawa, the DDT Pro match that they had, and they have just been planting all of these things along. So next week, when we get the return of the tag champs, well, at least Kenny Omega's in action because he's teaming with Matt Hardy. Maybe this is where we're going to see the start. Well, I mean, you can't even say it's the start. The next step of this tag feud between Hangman and Page and the Best Friends.
Hangman and Page.
Did I say Hangman and Page?
Yeah, I like that team.
Yeah. I love Hangman and Page.
But I'll let you go over the next segment because I loved everything on this show, including this. But you came back when we were talking this morning and said, I love this bit.
So Britt Baker did not get off to the best start in AEW. We all know that. It's fine. It didn't work. But this heel turn has worked. This heel turn is great. And they did a role model segment a couple of weeks ago that was really funny. But this one was great. This one was so great. This one had 1,000 times more % character than anything Britt has done. And Britt's been doing a lot of great character work. All the stuff she's doing with Schiavone over the coffee and his teeth and all this sort of stuff. And it built to this segment here where Britt welcomed us into her dentistry, where she has got clips of her being played on the TV. She's got inspirational posters of her throughout this thing. She has a makeup person who she doesn't know her name. And the makeup person's then like, that's not my name. And I actually think this role model thing is actually a bit rubbish. And Britt just sort of like pops her out the back, just around the corner. And she sort of scolds her, and the camera sort of films almost Parks and Rec style, her just sort of like catching them, and then cutting back to her being like, I think Britt's a great role model. I think she's amazing, and I love doing her makeup for her. And she gave us her role model tips, which is you don't wear glasses unless you're a doctor. You're just faking it otherwise. Get better eyes. You don't have to be fat. Photoshop filters exist. And don't have a snaggle tooth because dentists, that's what dentists are for. And all of these pictures were of Tony Schiavone. So further building off the characters they've had, absolutely loved it. I thought Britt was a great promo. I thought she was a great character. I absolutely loved what they did here. And I really hope that we get more of her feud with Shida, because they had a great match on TV a couple of weeks ago with the bloody mouth moment. I hope they can build off of that going back into live TV or, live/pre-tape TV to build that into a good pay-per-view match at Double or Nothing 2 or Quadruple or Nothing. I really, really hope they can build off the back of this, because I thought this was excellent. And fun fact for you, the iPad that's got all my notes on it just died. So I did that all off the top of my head. I did that all from memory. That's how much I loved the segment. I remembered the things that happened.
You're my role model, Luke, for doing that. I agree. It was an absolutely extraordinary segment. Because it was funny. It was so funny. Like the pace, the comedic pace, the delivery, all was spot on. And I'm getting into it. So sorry, warning, asterisk, I'm going to compare it to WWE. So one of the things that happens in WWE is someone will debut, we'll be really excited for them, and they'll get worse. It's very rare that people get better or more over on the main roster from where they started. This Britt Baker is an amazing example of how you can course correct and totally rebuild someone. Because she was not working in the slightest. It was like the worst of Roman Reigns, potentially, what they had on their hands there. Because AEW saw her as, she's a dentist. She can wrestle. She's a babyface star. Or that she's the one you slap on the face of the poster. You send her to media interviews because that's a story in itself. And that's wrong. Like she's the complete opposite of that. So tremendous bravery from AEW for kind of seeing their own mistakes and going with the complete opposite of what they originally had planned. The other thing I wanted to compare it to WWE with was how what happened here was a heel fat shaming a babyface. Because it was, Britt Baker made the very funny joke of just use Photoshop. Like, because that's just terrible advice on Tony Schiavone for having a paunch. This came across as a dastardly heel thing to say, but still funny, that I wanted to see her get her comeuppance. For whatever reason, when WWE tries this stuff, it makes me hate the company because it feels like it's coming from a very nasty, cynical, bullying place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree with you on that one. And actually, the other thing I was going to say off the back of your first point about why this character works so well and why I think this course correct has worked so well is that everything in this course correction is based on the original character. It is this original character of like, yeah, I was brought in to be the face of this division. I was brought in because I'm a dentist. I was brought in because I can do these media interviews. All of that stuff is part of the character. It's the reason why Seth's heel turn has worked so well, because everything in his heel turn has been based on the real life animosity that fans had against him as a babyface. He does consider himself to be the face of the company, the Monday Night Messiah, the top guy on Raw, which is what he was pushed as through all of 2019. So it totally works. And I think the same thing can be applied to Britt Baker. I think it's absolutely amazing. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah, one of the big success stories of wrestling in 2020 is Britt Baker's character. Extraordinary. Sean Spears beat up. I didn't write down their name.
I believe it
Baron
was
Black.
Baron Black, I believe his name was, crucially with the sharpshooter, which thank you to Randy Andy Datson to linking to us that Spears posted up on Twitter that he got permission from Bret Hart to now use it as his new move. So it's now his, but he's going to finish off his matches with the sharpshooter from now on.
I like that.
Well,
yeah, he's a Canadian,
He is a Canadian, I particularly like. I really like the way that Sean Spears carries himself as a character, which is, he gets into the ring, he's sort of popping his pecs and stuff like that. He's popping his glutes and doing a little, like, it comes with like, is he twerking? Well, like Shivani was, and Jericho's like, no, he's flexing his glutes. He's amazing. Look at the great shape he's in. He's Canadian. I love him. Not like Pineapple Pete. He's an idiot. And, he's getting over this character. But as soon as Baron Black started getting some offense in, this serious side of Sean Spears kicked in. He hits the C4 and then has this super intense look in his eye as he's locking in the sharpshooter. All that character that was there before is gone. The fun, wacky side of Spears is gone. This super scary side is emerging, and that's something you can build on as a character. Thumbs up for me.
After that, we got Taz breaking down Lance Archer's murder finisher. What's it called again?
Blackout.
That's it, Blackout. I still can't believe he hit it on Colt Cabana. And then we got Mr. Brody Lee taking on Marco Stunt in a squash match that's been built for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And it worked.
Fun. And it absolutely worked. He murderized this poor little fellow. Felt bad for poor little Marco as he was beaten from pillar to post by Mr. Brody Lee. Particularly loved the dive into the black hole slam. Good.
Oh, that was great.
Oh, wasn't it just? And then almost lifted him out of nothing into this big set out power bomb, expanding out a repertoire. Very nice.
Yeah, because Marco Stunt was thrown outside. He got like the 10 count just in the nick of time. And then it looked like he was going to have a bit of offense. And I thought, we're going to get at least 4 or 5 moves of Marco getting in some punches. No, just immediately cut off with that slam. Really good. Built Brody really well. And that's sort of the end of that part of Brody Lee and the Dark Order, I guess. I guess now we need to see something a bit more substantial from them.
Yeah, well, we've got a lot of potential threads. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. But we've got some potential threads of, the number 10 character that was introduced last week, reuniting him with Grayson and Uno, reuniting him with the sort of the other voice of the Dark Order, just kind of making them feel like a connective whole once again, and just sort of finding out. Yeah, I think now is going to be the time, once next week starts, is to, as you say, let's find what the meat of this is now. We've had fun doing parodies of Vince and squash matches, but now it needs to mean something.
Yeah. And then we got the Jon Moxley promo, Call Your Grandmothers, folks. And the main event was just breathtaking in the murder. I was really blown away by how great both men were, how the booking worked, how Cody came down to watch his brother get slammed into the mat. I love comics, specifically DC comics. If I had to nail my really favorite part, it's like that sort of 90s noughties, quite dark DC continuity. And I am just getting Doomsday vibes from Lance Archer. And I really can't say enough good things about it. I thought this was extraordinary.
Yeah, I thought this was a really, really good main event. And it was all down on just one of my notes that I wrote down, I remember writing, was just I love the way that they're moving. And just the way that they're selling each other's, not offense. They're just selling each other being in the ring. The way that Dustin would move around, after he first gets knocked to the outside and he sort of slowly walks back up, and Lance is pacing around. And then you have the moment when Lance is on the outside and Dustin is just on his knees, just sort of watching him, just being what's his next move going to be? I've now got the higher ground, Anakin. And it was just so many moments like that. And this was not a squash match, but at no point did Lance ever feel like he was in trouble, even though Dustin was getting a heck of a lot of offense in. But, and this is quite inspiring. I don't know how they managed this, but it never felt like Dustin couldn't win. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't feel like Lance was put over so strongly in this, kicked out of Crossroads at 1. Never felt like he was massively in trouble. But at the same time, you're like, yeah, but Dustin is that wily veteran. All's is going to take. And Dustin did get an amazing near fall on him at one point that I really bought into. And so the Murder Hawk he's unstoppable, but does feel like he could be stopped. But that's not a detriment to his character. It's really, really good stuff. I really like what they did with him in this tournament.
Yeah, the only way that Lance was losing here, and they did leave it open, was if he was kind of outsmarted by Goldust. Like you said, the wily veteran. And Goldust is so good in these sorts of roles because he's got that quite unique understanding of ring psychology where you just always have so much hope in him. Like you feel like he could come back and have a little hope spot near the end and even possibly pick up a win. But yeah, it was all really Lance toying with his prey. This was a message to Cody as much as it was, I need to win the match, but that's a foregone conclusion. I'm going to use these 15 minutes, which I could do in 2, just to send a message to Cody. I thought it was excellent. There was an old school into a moonsault spot, which is terrifying.
Yeah,
but I thought one of the best moments for me was when he just ripped off the turnbuckle pad. You know, most people untie it. He ripped it off with one hand. Really cool supervillain move, supervillain monster. And he just starts ramming Dustin's head into it. Boom, boom, boom. It should have been a disqualification. Referee should have been more on top of that. But I was still liking it. And then Cody's come down with Brandy. Cody's got the towel.
Because QT had the towel. So QT was going to throw the towel in for his tag partner, Dustin. But Cody ran down to stop, knowing that that's not how his brother would want to go out. But at the same time, it's like, was that the right move on Cody's part? Because it just led to more murderization of Dustin Rhodes, his brother. So some really interesting character stuff in there as well.
But then Lance dragged Dustin into the ring, into the center of the canvas, and just started hammering his head against the mat.
Yeah.
I was, while looking at Cody, and Cody had to watch that on after he just stopped the towel from going in. Dear God. There's a lot of feels going in there. And I said it in my review, it's the closest wrestling gets to comic book supervillains that I've ever seen.
And we know that Cody is a big comic book fan, so there's clearly got to be some form of inspiration in all of that. I thought this was really, really a really great main event. And while I did want it to be my boy Darby going into that final, Cody versus Lance, and that's kind of what we said from the start of this tournament. The great thing about this tournament, the way that this tournament was put together, is that there were 6 different outcomes that would have been like, oh, that's a great final to this tournament. And you know what? This is the final that makes the most sense. So absolutely kudos to AEW for going with that. And I thought it was a really, really cracking episode of Dynamite. My only other notes I had about Lance Archer is that his entrance music sucks. It sucks real bad. I do not like it because he is this big murder hawk monster dude and he comes out to pop metal and it sounds bad. The two don't mix. And I'm sure I'm going to get some heat for this in the comments because it's probably some popular band in America, but I thought it sounded quite poor. And I think he needs something a bit scarier.
It really works when he's already beaten up people in the entranceway. Before he came out, this random guy was thrown out of the entrance hole bit. And I thought, is that a botch? Why didn't they edit that out? And then Lance comes out, just clobbering a random production hand. Yeah. Loved it. So overall, a fantastic episode of AEW. I gave it a 4 out of 5, but it's a very high 4 out of 5.
I certainly would go that high as well. I mean, as much as I want to give it the big 5, it sucked that there was no women's match on this show. And I think doing last week there was no women's match on the show, and that was a problem. And I know people are going to say limited roster and stuff, but Shida is there, and there, you know, you could just have gone out a Shida squash match. That would have been something more than just nothing. And that is a shame. And doing that 2 weeks on the bounce sucks. So, and you know, they didn't really announce one for next week either. So that's also, I'd argue, problematic in 2020.
Let's get on to your super chats because we've got some more answers to who you want to see face Jon Moxley next. Dan H. Archer beats Cody in minutes. Oof. I don't want to see that. I think that's not the story to tell there. Kills the Mox challengers and goes against Mox. New Japan history can be used. Thoughts?
Yeah, you certainly could do. Absolutely. Yeah.
I don't think you want to do a TNT champion versus world champion.
Not straight away.
Quickly. No. I don't think that's a good idea initially. The Kassange UFC and boxing championships are only defended every 6 months or so. Having a break before Mox's title defense might make it feel like a bigger deal when it finally happens. # Brock Lesnar effect.
Potentially. I could potentially see the argument for that, but I also feel that wrestling fans are conditioned to expect title matches every month, you know, at the main event of a pay-per-view. So not having one on this, particularly when it doesn't feel like there's no direction for it either, it could just feel like it's not that it makes it more important for All Out 2, it just makes it not important for Double or Nothing 2.
Plus, wasn't the Hager match for the title?
It was, yeah.
Yeah, so they've already had, you know, they're doing it often anyway. The bad one, Ryan B. Bad. This bubbly bunch was so much better compared to last week. Faith has been restored in the inner circle. They were the person who didn't like last week's flim-flamming.
I remember.
Matthew Robinson, MJF injury just keeps getting better. Also, Wardlow is amazing. And think how many big men we have in AEW. It is truly amazing.
They actually said that on commentary. They were sort of listing off like, this really is where the big boys come to play.
Josh Dominics, who's a really generous pledge there, $50. AEW has now put on my 2 favorite no-fan shows and have shown the proper way to build up a tournament. Even though I don't agree with the decision to go live, agreed there, Mox got me super fired up for it. I'm excited to have this whole commentary team and roster back.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we don't know if it is like a full roster that's coming in. Well, yeah, I mean, for the record, I totally disagree with the going live thing. I think, you know, you're in a sort of difficult situation where you need to tape TV, but I'd almost rather just like do another bulk set of tapings like they did this time round. That'd be my preferred thing of this, as opposed to 1 week off, 1 week on. But, you know, we are where we are, and that sucks. But I am looking forward, and like as Josh said in that thing, then selfishly, I'm quite looking forward to next week's show. And like when they announced all those matches, I was like, damn, I am looking forward to next week's show.
Matthew Robinson, love the Dr. Britt Baker segment with Rebel. Hope she is a new character that will rise up. What do you think of Rebel? So she was in Impact. I
don't know if that's the same Rebel. Is it? I don't know if that is the same person. I mean, I liked what she did. Although I'm disappointed that we haven't had more from Hager's wife. That's who I would have liked to have seen more of, because I thought she was so good at Revolution.
Yep, it is the same. Oh, yep, same person.
Well, there you go.
Is it?
You learn something new every day.
Where were we? Sorry, I've changed tabs for that. Matthew Robinson again. Love, again, the Jericho commentary. He has an amazing way to have real engagement in people he doesn't even like, but still gets his heel moments in.
Yeah.
He's a pro. New punk rants. Jericho is the best commentator, wrestler, promo manager, faction leader. How is he not the Jerigoat? He made Juventud my fave at one time. Goat.
He's so good. I'm loving him on commentary as well. And I actually think that he's got better as each week's gone on. I feel like he's got more confidence. And like that first week where he had a lot of like ums and ahs and ers in there. Less so. Maybe that's more editing, but like I think that it just feels like he's grown in confidence.
Josh Dominics, TNT title dream match. It's a lot of big ones. Luchasaurus, Wardlow, Brody Lee, Lance Archer. Book it for All Out 2, please.
Oh, that's a big beefy match. That's a beef boy match.
That's a super heavyweight match. I wouldn't mind that at all. Matthew Robinson, Trent, OMG, what a bump. Was that on the
Ooh,
chairs?
that was
Yeah.
one of the chairs, yeah.
Baz Hoban. Darby's shoulders weren't down. Excalibur says he won't take it lying down on Twitter. Darby fights to be included. Triple threat for the TNT title.
That works. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was, we didn't talk about that. I thought it was quite a weak pin.
Yeah, and in fact, actually, I think they kind of said as much on commentary as well. So that might be something that this chap's pointing out that we completely missed from the commentary that can be brought up for next week. So yeah, that's a really that might be something they're setting up.
Matthew Robinson again, thank you so much. Gotta love Lance Archer, rope walk like The Undertaker, and then a moonsault. He is amazing.
Oh yeah,
incredible. Matthew Robinson again.
But let's not forget, it's not the greatest sort of springboard off the ropes moment. That still goes to El Phantasmo at Wrestle Kingdom when he did it into a back rake.
Oh yeah. Matthew Robinson, should Lance win and prolong the feud with Cody? Definitely, I think. Yeah, you got Archer's got to win. He's so cool. James Hanley, I wanted Darby to win too, but him winning it off Cody will mean more. First match, he tied Cody. He barely lost 2 straight matches to Cody. It will be his first title, and he would have toppled Cody.
Yeah, absolutely right. You know, that's some lovely long-term storytelling. Yeah, absolutely. Bang on the banana, as Blompier would say.
New Punk rants again. Last night, Dr. Britt Baker DMD became my favorite person in all of wrestling. I'm getting all the merch she has. AEW for life. # role model.
She is a role model. She's all of our role model.
Josh de Dominics, how can I find the segment by segment ratings for AEW? Could you guys possibly post them from your social media?
Well, they're always in the Observer. The Observer newsletter has always got like the best breakdowns of hour by hour of what ratings drew what and sort of how many viewers flip-flopped across channels.
I don't think they put out the segment by segment stuff publicly. That's sort of shared behind the scenes, but when people see them, they will write up news stories, and that's how I saw the particular one we talked about earlier. Juan Villa was hoping to see RVD with a joint and his ladies, I guess on the Bubbly Bunch bit. He's contracted to Impact. Pavi let Andy out of his cage. Luke and Ollie, did y'all call your grandmothers?
Both of mine are dead, so I sadly did not.
Yeah, nice one, Pavi. I called mine on Tuesday. Spoke about the weather. Don't think they could hear me properly. Do you want to take over for this bit? Have you got the doc?
I don't have any of the docs. I've got no notes. I've got no docs.
Matthew Robinson, have you guys seen the Ruthless Aggression episode with Brock Lesnar? It's really good.
I've not seen them. I don't even think I finished the Evolution one. I think I watched the first 2, which I very much enjoyed, and I got a good kick out of the rewriting of history. But if I get some free time, I do want to watch the rest of them because I did enjoy them.
Gabriel Caruso, during your review that aired earlier, you mentioned you had a show on free TV. Yeah, Fight TV that airs in the UK, not stateside. Could we watch it using that VPN thing you guys talk about? Huge fan. # Ollie for Prez. Thank you. No, VPNs don't work on sort of TV, do they? That's like, we're talking broadcast terrestrial TV. It's not on a platform. So you'll have to go to Turnbuckle TV to watch all that instead. Geek Violet X3, support WrestleTalk. Stay awesome, you lads. Thank you. Michael Riley, got my Screw Steve Carino support wrestling shirt yesterday. Super hyped to wear it out and about when the stay-at-home order is over.
Excellent work. Thank you all so much who bought that t-shirt.
Yeah, anyone who hasn't received theirs yet, we're working on it. As I'm sure you're aware, it's tough right now to make t-shirts and send them out. Gabriel Caruso, who wins in a fight, Homer Simpson or Peter Griffin?
They had that fight, didn't they, in the Simpsons Family Guy crossover that wasn't very good. And I honestly, and I've watched that episode, cannot remember who did win. I'm going to assume it was a draw.
Then they've said,
but only controversially, Homer Simpson, because at least he's had an actual funny episode of a show.
Ooh.
Boom, slam on Family Guy being a mediocre comedy.
# Luke is a role model. They'll probably take that back after that. # Ollie for Prez. # Luke for Prime Minister. We could be the power trip across the states, across the Atlantic. WrestleTalk World Order, WrestleTalk for life. Can you tell what a WrestleTalk's plans to make comeback against guests in Quizzlemania? You guys have been made to look rubbish. Hashtag learn wrestling.
Well, no, this is the thing. I don't know wrestlers' real names. Like, is Britt Baker her actual name? I've absolutely no idea. But I do know that I like her, and I'm very, very bad at like remembering stuff that happened within the last 3 years. I just don't remember anymore. But yeah, I think it's fun. I'm really enjoying doing Quizzlemania. It's just really fun to hang out with those people. It's a really good laugh.
Yeah, it's just our excuse to get people we like on a show who would in no other way talk to us. But my mind doesn't work that way. It's not really a specific fact or date thing. It's more my mind deals in generals. Or actually, if I think of something, my first thought isn't that's the answer. It's I'll check that on Wikipedia. You know, I've outsourced my memory to the internet.
It's so funny because I talked about this on one of our morning meeting calls. But after I watched Raw on Tuesday, I just had this sudden thought of being like, I'm going to just have a look, just in case it comes off in the off chance. What was the Raw Women's Championship history in reverse chronological order? And I read through it. And as soon as I closed the Wikipedia page, had forgotten everything. And I sat there and I was like, wait, what was it again? I'm very bad at studying. So I just don't remember things like that.
Some last minute super chats. Baz Hoban, RE the three-way, all winners make sense. What do you think? The three-way. Regarding the three-way, all winners make sense. What do you think?
I wonder if this means the three-way between Cody, Darby, and Lance Archer. Is that what they're referring to?
Yes. It's the same person. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Still Lance, I think. Lance overcoming the both of them, yeah.
Yeah, Cody and Darby can kind of cost each other the match. Maybe they get Lance down, but Darby's greed gets the better of him. I don't know.
Before we have the rest of those super chats, do we want to give a little shout out to our mods?
Yes. Well, let's do it at the end. Pavi let Andy out of his cage. I want to Archer versus Mox for the New Japan US title and AEW. The forbidden door is closed, unfortunately, for now. And Pavi again, awesome man. Sorry, Luke. Mine are dead too. For the grandparents.
It's fine. One of them died when my mum was 5. So like it was very unlikely that I was ever going to meet her.
And any plans on bringing Dave Meltzer to Quizzlemania? Oh God, he'd destroy us all.
Absolutely, but yeah. I mean, I don't know how good he is at nips, but that was the one round where I did really well yesterday with my nips.
And donations with no comment. Thank you, Rich Yonkers, Geek Violet X3, and Mark Ponce and A. But thank you also to our wonderful moderators in the chat who sacrifice their time to help keep you guys chatting nicely and having a nice fan environment. And one of us has they've got to go back to work, so we're losing them for a bit. Thank you so much, Jeremy Hawkeye Runner.
Thank you very much, my friend. Thank you for all of your incredible hard work. I think the mods have been doing an amazing job. I think, I haven't got enough good things to say about them. And our best wishes go out to Tomo as well. Tomo, who's also having some tough times at the moment. So our heart goes out to you, mate. Thank you for everything that you've been doing as well.
We're all here for you, Tomo. But yes, please go over to Parts of Unknown, watch last night's Quizzlemania. Also check out Adam's Fantasy Booking Roman Reigns video there and the explained video from Laurie last week. Yes, Luke?
Sorry, I should have also said we have a message in on the Streamlabs because we keep forgetting to do that one. Wait for it to load. It's from your boy Jobber JJ who said AEW are nailing these empty arena shows. Ollie, you said that WWE is getting a little repetitive. What do you feel about AEW and what do you feel is the difference? Great matches, video packages, and promos makes it a 5 out of 5 show. Lance Archer is awesome and special.
Sorry, could you say that again? Because I just saw that Wale is a fan of ours.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's retweeted Adam's fantasy booking video.
Of Wale Mania fame?
Yeah, that's cool.
Wow,
he's got 6 million followers. So what did JJ say? Sorry.
So, Ollie, you said that WWE is getting a little repetitive. What do you feel about AEW, and why? What do you feel is the difference?
What do I feel is repetitive about AEW?
No, do you want, one more time?
Sorry, I also saw he watched Quizzlemania.
Oh, Ollie, you said that WWE is getting a little repetitive. What do you feel about AEW, and what do you feel is the difference?
It's an hour shorter. The storylines are generally better. They have more variety, I would say. They go from match to comedy to sort of emotional video package in a fresher way than WWE does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good stuff, mate. But yes, head on over to Parts Unknown. Watch Adam's Roman Reigns video. It's really, really good stuff. And he does an excellent Dean Ambrose impression. Just kidding. No, he doesn't. And go and watch last night's Quizzlemania. Subscribe to the podcast version. I thoroughly enjoyed last night's show. And watching Alex and Sean Ross Sapp during those final rounds was quite awe-inspiring. It was absolutely outstanding. Just though, and I love Alex. I think she's awesome. She's so funny.
Goddamn cheaters, both of them. I'll be back to regain my non-crown eventually. But yes, please click the videos that have just appeared on the screen to catch up with the latest awesome WrestleTalk things like my WrestleTalk news from earlier, and go over to become a pledge hammer on Patreon to get your name shouted out on this very show, and you'll get to listen to the WrestleTalk After Dark podcast, which went up there yesterday. I've been Ollie Davis. This has been Luke Owen, and that was wrestling. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.